I always had a complex because I couldn't play an instrument. And, it intensified when I was up with Lieber and Stoller and sitting in the next room with Jeff Barry and Annie Greenwich pounding out Chapel of Love and People Say, and all these great songs that they wrote up there. And then when I met this guy, he's a great, he can play any instrument, so it got crazy. So I even tried to take piano lessons for 15 minutes. So, and I'm in England, and Mike Vernon says to me, we've got the Windsor Pop and Blues Festival. It's an early festival, and I'm going out there with my engineer, Gus Dudgeon. We'd love you to come with us. Now, Gus Dudgeon eventually became a producer and produced most of Elton John's records. But in those days he was an engineer. Now, Mike Vernon produced 10 years after in Savoy Brown, which were managed by a company called the Ellis Wright Organization, which consisted of Chris Wright and Terry Ellis. And they had no label, they had nothing. And I saw this band play on the thing, and I thought they were fantastic, and they were managed by Chris Wright and Terry Ellis. So I said, Mike, we should sign this band to Blue Horizon. They're indebted to you. You produce their acts, and he said, oh, Seymour, I don't work with flautists. So at first I took him time to realize what he was talking about, he met a flute player. So then I turned to Gus and I said, Gus, please talk to him. This band, they really could be very, very big. He said, so Gus says to me, Seymour, can I ask you a personal question? He says, you don't play a musical instrument, do you? So, I got a pain, right? It was like stabbing me in the heart. And I said, what does that have to do with it? I said, but no, I don't. He says, if you played a musical instrument, you would have heard all the bad notes that this is one of the worst bands I've ever seen. He said, and they hit all these bad. I said, look, this is rock and roll. This is not the New York Philharmonic, and we didn't approach him. That band was Jethro Tull, and that band was the start of Chrysalis Records. Chris